ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमः सर्वेभ्यः पुनरपि स्वागतम्। यावता वयं भगवद्गीतायां विद्यमानानां श्लोकानां चिन्तनसरणिं कुर्वन्तः स्मः, तत्र पञ्चमः अध्यायः। तत्र श्लोकद्वयम् अद्य पश्यामः। In the fifth chapter, after narrating all the actions done by someone who has realized, starting from Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sprishan, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Shwasan, Pralapan, Visrijan, Grinhan, Unmishan, Nimishan api Indriyani Indriyartheshu Vartanta iti dharayan. As if all these functions are just happening, none of those actions are motivated or driven by the kartritva of a person, but these are all happening within a person. So this kartritva, na kartritvam na karmani lokasya sirjati prabhu, that was the shloka earlier to this, where a real person who realized what is the reality of the universe thinks that he or she is not causing anything to happen in the world, but the world itself is happening by itself, and he or she doesn't own the doership of those functions. And after that, here is a small segment. Yastu punaha atattvavid pravrittah karmayogah. Someone atatvavit pravrittascha karmayoge. Someone who doesn't realize the reality, but still one is functioning. Brahmani adhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yaha lipyate nasapapena padmapatra mivambhasa. Here I have chosen this shloka just to give a beautiful analogy given by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. The last statement says, Padma Patram Iva Ambhasa. Ambha is water. The Lipyate na saha papena. Papa will never get associated with the person who just gets involved in the functions but owns no function, no action at all. Brahmani adhaya karmani, sarvani karmani, Brahmani adhaya. Keeping or resorting every function, even done by oneself, only considering it to be happening everything in Brahmani adhaya karma. Adhaya means sthapayatva. Brahmani eva sarvani karmani sthapayatva sangam tyaktva. Sarvamapi sangam tyaktva. Doing away from all association or desire or ownership of all those functions, karotiyaha lipyate na saha papena. That person will remain as the leaf of lotus in the big pond without getting wet by the water of the pond. So you might have seen how the leaf of the lotus is not getting attached, it doesn't get wet, and all the droplets of water are like small balls sitting on them. And the moment you remove, it becomes like a dry leaf, meaning there is no association, there is no attachment of water to a leaf. Similarly, all the functions are happening, but one who realized will not get affected or associated or has the ownership of any of the functions. Therefore, papa or punya. Here only papena is said. Lipyate na saha papena. Papa will not get associated. Similarly, punya also. Either punya or papa. Okay, kevalam sattva shuddhi matrena phalam tasya karmanah स्यात्. Okay, लिप्यते न सह पापेन संबध्यते. Papena, with papa there will be no association when it is done just as a witness and with sakshi bhava. And then kayena manasa buddhya kevalihi indriyairapi yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. It's so clear. Why do yogis perform actions? Why do they do any duty that has come to them by default, by inheritance, whatever has come to them, they just perform it. And they will not overwhelmed because of they have got something to do as a duty, or they are not even depressed that I'm not given any job. They just perform any function that has come to them as a duty, and the goal is as clear as crystal. It says Sangam Tyaktva Atma Shuddhaye. The only goal, the only purpose, or the way of exercising the karma is aimed at Atma Shuddhi. We have seen even earlier all the karmas, the things that we all are functioning are only for Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhya Jnanam. If there is any Atma Jnana has to happen to any individual, it is only through Chitta Shuddhi. And how do we do Chitta as Shuddha? Is there any possibility that we can purify Chitta? Yes, it's a possibility. Only when you want it, when you aspire for cleansing the manas. Generally, it is said even in the Shastras, unless a human being intentionally tries to mature oneself, their tamas takes over the rajas and sattva. Therefore, there is a downfall if there is no culturing mechanism within the human beings. But this is not the case with all the other life forms. For example, animals, birds, insects, plants, creepers, and the whole nature. It's all perfect. There is nothing to change in them, and you need not expect any change in any of the forms, life forms in the universe. If there is only expectation of the change that to happen, is only in the human beings, because there is a natural tendency to go down, that by nature, unless it is trained, unless it is cultured, unless it is pruned as a personality, we tend to be tamasic in nature. So why? Because it is the nature, you know. Even in the model of Sankhya, the grossest universe are tamasic by nature. There is a tamasic, there is sattvic. All the indriyas, all the karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, and manas are by nature sattvic. All panchamaha bhutas and pancha tanmatras are tamasic in nature. So when there is a tendency of indriyas to rush towards which are tamasic in nature, it may tend or it may go towards being more tamasic. So, what then? How do we do when we become more tamasic? When we become less sattvic and rajasic, we tend to lose the comprehension. We tend to lose the viveka. Therefore, the chitta shuddhi should happen with a choice, with a voluntary effort that we have to make to purify the chitta. So, speciality of all the yogis would remain this: they continuously, committedly try to purify their chittas, which in technical terms, Vedanta, it is called chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi is the goal of all the actions. So, yogis perform kayena manasa buddhya केवलैः इन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति. योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति कथम् इति चेत् कायेन कर्म कुर्वन्ति, मनसा कर्म कुर्वन्ति, बुद्ध्या कर्म कुर्वन्ति, इन्द्रियैः अपि कर्म कुर्वन्ति. किमर्थम् इति चेत् आत्मशुद्धये. कथम् इति चेत् संगं त्यक्त्वा योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति आत्मशुद्धये. आत्मशुद्ध्यर्थं ते योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति. कैः कर्म कुर्वन्ति इति चेत् कायेन, by physical activity, manasa, by the thoughts and thinking process, and buddhya, by discrimination, by intelligently acting in the respective contexts, and indriyaih api karma kurvanti. So, with whatever is available at their disposal to function with, they all use it. They all use it for performing karma, be it physical, mental, intellectual, or even with all the senses. They all do that. Only distinction or the difference between normal common man, aam admi, and yogis are these are the differences. They perform with too much involvement. Common public, layman way of performing action, like us, like me, like many others that I see, I observe, I can recognize, who are able to perform their actions with complete involvement and they own everything. So, whenever you own any action or the function, there is ownership of the action along with the ownership of phala. Therefore, wherever there is phalapeksha of an action, the association of punya and papa is an inherent possibility. So you cannot say, I will have only the result and not punya or papa. Okay, result is what I desire. So every function comes along as a subordinate, as a byproduct, that punya and papa, so long it is driven and motivated by phalapeksha. So what and how the yogis do, and they differentiate themselves from aam admi, they do perform their action, but they disown not just karma phala but even the actions. And we can see many of professions and professionals are following these principles of yogi. I have seen someone who is brooming in our campus where I am working. There is a person who just cleans uh, to the sake of cleaning, and he does it with all the devotion. I have observed one person, one health worker. She has been almost 30 years. Even today, she treats everyone equally. There is no difference. Array, the dean has come, the vice chancellor has come, and some minister has come. some student has come, some worker has come, for everyone. She treats with the same respect, with the same love, with the same tenderness of her love provided to that. So that is what if we have eyes, if we can see through people how they perform, whether they do it for chitta shuddhi or phalapeksha. So this is the distinction that Krishna makes it very clear in 5th adhyaya between yogis. And yogis are none other than jnanis only. Earlier he says, Sankhya Yoga Prithak Balaha Pravadanti Napanditaha Ekamapyasthita Samyak Ubhayoha Vindate Phalam. Whether it is Jnana Yoga, whether it is Karma Yoga, both ultimately lead, either directly or indirectly, lead to the same goal, and there is no difference. But these are two steps, one after the other it comes. Karma in the beginning, then it is an automated switch, automated leap into the path of jnana, where it happens, you do not do anything. Only in the level of karma yoga, where we have to perform, there is no other way. In order to do away with all the karma, one has to perform the karma first. Therefore, the difference between Aam Admi and Yogi has been told in this shloka. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalaihi indriyairapi yoginah karma kurvanti sangam tyaktva atma shuddhaye. So with this we will wind up today's discussion on Bhagavad Gita lessons and messages from Bhagavad Gita. We will meet next week. Until we all remember the words of Bhagavan, how we need to perform, with what intention, and what methodology we need to apply while performing every action that has come to us as a duty. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. सर्वेभ्यः नमांसि पुनर्मिलामः धन्यवादाः